The outrage over power bills. On Pines and Needles, how trade and climate are impacting Christmas tree sales.
And sunny and seasonal. We have another nice day ahead Friday, but showers or flurries are on the way.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Everybody, it seems, is lining up against Nova Scotia Power. Angry customers and frustrated politicians of all stripes are demanding answers from the utility as confusing sky-high power bills land in mailboxes. CTV's Callum Smith reports.
I said, no, something's seriously wrong here.
This mini home hasn't been lived in for 20 years. Krista Peterson-Brannan says it was gutted with new energy-efficient appliances installed. She was stunned at her two recent power bills, $600 each.
Where could an estimation come for this piece of property when no one has been here for 20 years?
NSP wants about a 4.1% hike for residential customers each of the next 2 years.
I just think it's incredibly tone deaf to be asking for another power rate increase during a period of time when they failed Nova Scotians so badly.
The utility offering this explanation today.
When we experienced the cyber incident and detected that on April the 25th, our ability to communicate with the meters was affected.
So they started estimating bills, sending newly hired crews out to read meters. He says no late fees or interest are being charged and no one will be disconnected. Customers will only pay for what they use.
It's unbelievable. The consumer has nowhere else to go. We are with Nova Scotia Power, and that's our only option. It's not like we have companies like cell phones.
The province is requiring the CEO to testify at a legislative committee next week.
This is a company that has lost the trust of the people. So when they say we'll settle up later, people aren't going to believe that.
We do want to restore that trust, and we have been working to rebuild that trust. We're working as hard as we can to restore everything and get our systems back to normal. We do understand that our customers right now expect more of us, and our commitment is to keep working at this.
In a rare move, the opposition is on the same page as the government, but wants the company and province to go even further.
I think that calling the utility to a committee is important. We want to hear from them, but not at all sufficient.
The Houston government vows to make the utility accountable. Meanwhile, Nova Scotia Power aims to have all bills fixed early in the new year. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
A 43-year-old woman is dead in St. John after being struck by a city transit bus. It happened this morning on the city's east side. Details now from CTV's Avery McRae.
This stretch of Loch Lomond Road is among St. John's busiest streets, and this morning it was the scene of a fatal collision.
At approximately 6:09 a.m. on November 20th, St. John Police Force responded to a motor vehicle accident at the intersection of Loch Lomond Road and McDonald Street, which is located on the east side of St. John. It involved a bus, city transit bus, and a pedestrian.
A 43-year-old woman was pronounced dead at the scene. There is no word on if anyone was riding the bus at the time of the incident. The road was closed for several hours this morning, but reopened before noon. No charges have been laid at this time, and police say it's too early in the investigation to determine if any will come.
We have had the opportunity to interview witnesses. We are still looking for and seeking if somebody has dash cam that might have been in the area at the time of the accident, or anybody that may have video set up on their house that angles towards Loch Lomond Road. We would appreciate if they would send that in to the police.
In a statement, the city offered their condolences for the victim's family and say they are fully cooperating with the police investigation. St. John Mayor Donna Reardon says the incident would have been traumatic for all those involved, including the driver, who will be offered support from the city.
Just like with any other tragedy or trauma, the city of St. John, we want to support, our employees. So absolutely there will be supports, in place for that person.
This is not the first time an incident like this has occurred in St. John. In February of 2024, a 71-year-old woman died after being hit by a city bus in the North End. When asked if the city implemented any new rules or measures following that incident, a spokesperson told CTV when the timing is appropriate, they would provide a more detailed look at city transit updates and information. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
Online, a man convicted of murdering a Halifax optician 4 years ago is launching an appeal. The details are at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A new report shows Canadians are becoming increasingly frustrated with rising food prices, and they're not alone. The people who grow much of what we eat are meeting in Moncton, and tell CTV's Derek Haggett they're getting hit just as hard by soaring costs.
According to a new national survey, Canadians are becoming more frustrated with food prices, but are also concerned with fairness and transparency. According to the Agri-Food Lab at Dalhousie University, affordability remains the dominant concern. Trust in major food retailers continues to erode, and support for Canadian-grown and Canadian-made foods is rising. Farmers from across the country are meeting in Moncton this week. They understand the prices for consumers have been rising aggressively since the pandemic.
Of course, the price of fuel, the price of any equipment and repairs, like everything just keeps going up and up. Inflation has been a very real issue for farmers.
The National Farmers Union says there's a widening gap between what farmers receive for their products and what consumers pay at the checkout.
And so while we see a lot in the news about consumer prices rising in grocery stores, there's very little to say about how farmers are doing. And the answer is not very well, usually.
One local farmer says it's extremely hard to make a living here in New Brunswick.
I don't know very many farmers that don't have a side gig, including our family. I work off farm. There's no way we would be able to live 100% off of our farm.
Shant says many farms here are going out of business.
Right now, the average age of a farmer in New Brunswick is 56 years old, and the decline continues, and we don't have new farmers coming up, at least not enough to compensate for those we're losing.
Shantz believes prices in New Brunswick would be lower if grocery stores used more local foods. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
A plan to tear out mature trees to build a bus lane along a busy Halifax street is being opposed by a group fighting to save them. A small rally was held today, and CTV's Vanessa Wright was there.
Concerned residents along Halifax's Roby Street aren't letting up. They've been fighting against a project that the city is moving ahead on.
Halifax is choosing one of the most destructive, expensive, and least desired outcomes with their plan to widen the road.
The project is a part of the city's integrated mobility and rapid transit strategy. It involves cutting down about 80 trees and demolishing more than a dozen buildings.
There's First Nations homes, there's housing co-ops, there's youth shelters, and everyone is being impacted in one of the last affordable neighborhoods in the city. Also the matter of the trees, some of these trees are 150 to 175 years old, and they won't be replaced.
The small crowd of about 15 people, many of whom live nearby, say they aren't the only ones opposed to the $200 million plan.
I was surprised. Every business I talked to, and a lot of business owners were there and present, were very supportive of this campaign to stop the project of widening. They didn't see it as realistic.
Howard Epstein is a former city councillor and MLA, but his anger on the issue also comes as someone who's lived in the area for 40 years.
As a taxpayer, I've got to say I'm completely outraged that the city is proposing to spend so much money on a traffic measure that could be addressed in a very less expensive and sensible way.
The group says they aren't disputing the city needs to address traffic congestion and transit, but believes there are better options like implementing bi-directional signals, which they say is less expensive.
Because these plans were made about 15 years ago, many councillors seem to think that they have no choice and that the project is so well advanced that there's no way to get out of it at this point. But that's not true. All you have to do is not spend the money. And if they don't put it in the budget, then it won't go ahead. So really what we're asking the City Council to do is do nothing. Just leave it alone.
CTV News reached out to the city for comment, but they declined an on-camera interview. We also reached out to the area councillor, Virginia Hinch, who ralliers tell me is against the project. She didn't get back to us either by deadline. Todd?
All right, Vanessa Wright, live on Roby Street, downtown Halifax. Thank you. There's a live look at Moncton right now, Petitcodiac River, -1. Let's get our first look at the weather, and Stephanie Seco standing in for meteorologist Kayla Mitchell on assignment this evening. So let's get our first look at how things are shaping up. Steph?
It is quite clear out there this evening, Todd. It will be a little bit on the chillier side, but that is not unusual for this time of year. We'll be seeing just some light cloud cover through the evening hours across the Maritimes for tonight. As for those current conditions, right now -2 in Halifax, -2 in Fredericton, and -2 at this hour in Charlottetown. So starting to see the temperatures creep down just a little bit, but we did see a very beautiful day across the region. Very seasonal temperatures for this time of year with those nice calm winds as well. And those winds are still very calm at this hour across the region. They've been relatively variable as well for many areas too, so that has been helping with those nicer conditions, and we'll see the winds remain calm as we head into Friday as well. Starting to pick up though as we head into the afternoon hours into the evening. Friday into Saturday morning. But again, we're in for a very similar day for tomorrow for many areas at this hour. Really no wind gusts reported. As for that precipitation and cloud cover, again, very clear across the region for tonight. We'll be seeing similar conditions as we start the day Friday. But that is when we will begin to see some increasing cloud cover through parts of northwestern areas of New Brunswick, and then we'll begin to see some showers building into Cape Breton and eastern mainland Nova Scotia around the noon hour and into the early afternoon hour. That is also when we'll start to see some flurries potentially developing through more northern areas of New Brunswick. Elsewhere though across the region, Nova Scotia, lots of sunshine around the afternoon. Same for Prince Edward Island tomorrow, and then these showers will continue persisting to through Cape Breton. Some flurries still popping up into parts of New Brunswick as well. And then the system will continue pushing across. We could see some showers popping up elsewhere through southwestern Nova Scotia. That system as well creeping into Halifax later on in the evening. For most areas tomorrow night, there is a chance of some showers or some flurries, and I'll have more on that coming up in the full forecast in just a little bit.
Right you are. We'll see you a little later. Thank you, Stephanie. It's been talked about for decades. Only now, pushed by U.S. tariffs, have the provinces, territories, and Ottawa agreed to tear down interprovincial trade barriers. Still, there are plenty of exemptions. CTV's Jesse Thomas has the details.
When you boil it down, the new Canadian Mutual Recognition Agreement signed by all 13 provinces and territories and Ottawa means
if it works in Saskatchewan, if it's good for Saskatchewan, it's good for Nova Scotia.
The agreement is seen as a first big step to knocking down long-standing interprovincial trade barriers so products, services, and even labor can move freely across the country without hitting different rules at each border.
Out of necessity, we really have to strengthen our free trade process internally within Canada.
The trucking industry is on board with the deal and argue creating one national rule book will save people time and money.
I would say that, the interprovincial barriers that we have, around transportation alone probably adds, 10+% to the cost of goods that we're trying to move within the country.
For years, it's been easier to trade north and south with the U.S. than across Canada, but this agreement aims to change that.
The fact is it's woken us up to the reality that, we haven't got our own system working as well as it should work.
But the deal doesn't include the free trade of food and beverages like alcohol or agricultural products like plants or animals. And until that big piece is included, then we'll always have trade barriers, says trade expert Robert Hewish.
So what we really need to see is Nova Scotian wine in the glasses on golf courses in British Columbia, and we need to see PEI cheese curds in Quebec poutine.
Hewish says strong protectionism around food and agriculture means big challenges remain.
All we're really seeing is the ability for workers to go back and forth across the country, and maybe for a few select goods.
But everyone agrees it's a good starting point, but say building a true national trade system will take years. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
In tonight's CTV web poll, we're asking this: should food and alcohol be included in the agreement to remove those interprovincial trade barriers? Our options are very simple: yes or no. We'd like your opinion at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. The federal leader of the opposition is on a tour of New Brunswick. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was in Fredericton this morning. He was given a tour of Atlantic Modern Homes. He met with workers and spoke about issues around crime, affordability, and high prices.
And that's because of a lot of hidden taxes. The industrial carbon tax, still in place, well hidden, on our farmers and food processors. The food packaging tax, another Liberal tax that drives up food costs by about $1 billion a year.
Poilievre is scheduled to make appearances in northeastern New Brunswick tomorrow with stops in Tepasintac and Miramichi.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Now to a story of how a young Nova Scotia woman is making every second count. With her heart transplant failing, she's determined to make memories, lobby for organ donation, and help those who helped her. CTV's Stephanie Seacos has her story.
At 28 years old, Rebecca Gillis should have her whole life ahead of her, but she recently received some devastating news.
Essentially, the rejection cannot be reversed. It's irreversible. And surgery or any other operations are not and will never be an option, including retransplantation.
Rebecca was born with complex congenital heart disease. When she was just 5, her family traveled to Toronto with the hopes of receiving the good news of a heart transplant. It didn't work out at that time, but several years later, she finally got one.
After I got my transplant, I did, notice that I could breathe better, I can walk better, I can do different things. So when I was at my healthiest, I was giving back, I was doing fundraisers, I was raising money.
It's been 13 years since her heart transplant. After finding out it's now being rejected, she's had to move back to Pictou to be closer to her mom, Jennifer.
Nobody ever wants to get a diagnosis like that. And it's hard to stay strong, but I'm a mother and that's what I have to do.
While they don't know how much time they have left together, they are making the most of every second.
We all have busy lives. We all have other commitments, but right now Rebecca is 1,000% my focus.
Rebecca has started a bucket list, and they're already checking off items, the first being matching tattoos.
I'm going to do whatever I can. I'll talk to whoever I can. I will beg for help from whoever I can to make these dreams come true.
The biggest thing on my bucket list that I want to do is take my niece, Daisy, to Disney World.
As Rebecca reflects on her life and the legacy she wants to leave,
my biggest message is to always give kindness, be generous, give when you can, and help those in need.
Rebecca hopes that by sharing her story, people can see the true impacts of organ donation and the extra time it has given her family. Stephanie Seacos, CTV News, Pictou, Nova Scotia.
Still ahead, we're in for a mostly clear and cool night. Stephanie will be back with the full forecast. Doctors in New Brunswick get a big new contract and the growing spirit of Christmas.
We've really recognized the health and the quality of the tree is quite strong, the balsam fir Christmas tree.
Maritime tree growers see a turnaround after this summer's drought. Will it help sales? That story after this. Despite this summer's punishing drought, Christmas tree growers on the East Coast are telling CTV News this year's crop of firs and pines are looking pretty good. CTV's Emma Convey reports.
Blue check. Colin Hughes and his team are grading their Christmas trees. Blue tags for premium, red next in line. To their surprise, it was a high-quality harvest.
We had a terrible dry summer, but our trees grew well, which was kind of strange, and the weatherman's been great to us this year during harvest season.
Hughes grows around 20 million trees across his 2,000 acres. Majority are balsam fir trees. They harvest about 10% annually, and he was worried how the drought would affect them.
Fresh cut trees coming off the lots was under 40%, 37, 38% moisture content. So we put the water right to those trees, and after they're in our yard for a couple of days, we actually got the moisture content up to 47 to 48% is where they need to be.
We've really recognized the health and the quality of the tree is quite strong, the balsam fir Christmas tree. And remarkably, these trees are looking fantastic this year.
Seedlings didn't stand much of a chance, many growers losing substantial numbers.
Those trees that we planted 4 years ago that we lost, those trees we planted 3 years ago and 2 years and so on, that's inventory that's now gone. So at some point in time, that will have an effect on the supply.
The growing season shaped up to be better than expected. For this business, supply hasn't been the problem, but more so demand when it comes to uncertainty with tariffs and international markets. The true test will be how many trees behind me will be gone by Christmas. Emma Convey, CTV News, New Ross, Nova Scotia.
And they'll be landing on lots pretty soon. Still ahead, plenty of sunshine to start the day Friday. We could see a few showers, maybe some flurries later on. Stephanie is back with a full maritime forecast after these commercial breaks. Look at that blue sky. Wow, this is Rhines Creek, Nova Scotia. It's in the Knoll area, and it was a glorious day. You talked about clear in the early forecast, Stephanie. This is a great example of what a lot of folks got to enjoy.
It was beautiful out there today, Todd. We saw a gorgeous day. Starting off this morning, you know, it was a little bit frosty on the grass when I was out walking my dog this morning, and I was like, oh, what are we in for today? But beautiful, sunny across the Maritimes. We'll still be seeing very sunny conditions even into Friday. The weekend looks quite sunny as well. There's just that little blip tomorrow that we'll be seeing some showers popping up for some areas, some flurries as well, just depending on where you are. But we are in for another nice day tomorrow. Those seasonal temperatures, the calm winds are really what is helping out there right now. So we're in for some nice weather over the next few days. Some nice November weather, you know, just light layers at this point anyway.
Light layers, there we go.
Yes, but across the country, you know, we've been seeing some similar conditions in terms of temperatures for many areas across Canada right now. Very mild though for Vancouver, 10 degrees there at this hour, but again, it's earlier on in the day. We are seeing temperatures around 0 in Edmonton, -3 in Saskatoon, so a little bit on the cooler side there for right now in Winnipeg with that sun shining. As we head further east, we're seeing temperatures around 4 degrees in Toronto. Cooler, though, in Ottawa, -4 with some flurries falling at this hour. Then through our region, -2 in Fredericton and Charlottetown, +2 in Halifax and St. John's at this hour. In terms of cloud cover and precipitation, again, we've been talking about how it is quite clear out there this evening, and that will continue into the overnight hours, into the early morning hours as well. That is when we will start to see some cloud cover building through parts of New Brunswick, and we will begin to see some showers falling through Cape Breton and eastern mainland Nova Scotia around the noon hour. That will continue into the evening hours as well. Some flurries popping up too through parts of northwestern New Brunswick, and we will begin to see some cloud cover building elsewhere in the region around the evening hours of Friday. And then some showers developing for many areas, about a 30 to 60% chance of showers for any given area Friday evening. That system, though, will continue pushing out and will eventually clear as we head into the weekend. As for those lows tonight, -5 in Halifax, -6 in Fredericton, and -4 in Charlottetown. So a little bit cooler out there, feeling a little bit chillier when you factor in that wind chill as well. For tomorrow, we'll see those highs in northern New Brunswick between 0 and +3. Still those light winds tomorrow. For central and southern areas of New Brunswick, we're in for a mix of sun and cloud, highs between 0 and 5 degrees. For Prince Edward Island, mostly sunny day for tomorrow, highs around 7. So again, a very nice November day ahead, especially to end off the week. For Cape Breton and eastern mainland Nova Scotia, this is where we'll see some showers popping up throughout the day tomorrow, highs around 6 degrees. So still not bad temperature-wise. For central areas of Nova Scotia, we'll see some increasing cloudiness, so starting out the day, plenty of sunshine, and then eventually those clouds building as those showers develop through the evening hours tomorrow, highs around 6 degrees. Through southwestern areas of Nova Scotia, mostly sunny day for tomorrow, highs around 6 degrees here as well. So again, a very nice November day ahead for us. As for that long-range forecast, so into the weekend, lots of sunshine ahead for Saturday and Sunday, high around 6 degrees Saturday, 2 on Sunday. So we'll start to see the temperature taper off just a little bit into Monday, though the start of the week we'll see some flurries or showers, high of 4 degrees. Then the sunshine returns Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud with a high of 3. Then we have this pattern, showers or flurries expected once again on Wednesday, and then some cloudier conditions for Thursday. So these temperatures very seasonal for this time of year as well. For Nova Scotia, slight chance of showers early on Saturday. That system should clear out. Then we will eventually see the sunshine breaking through. Then plenty of sunshine into Sunday, high of 3 degrees. The showers return on Monday. So again, we have this pattern with the sunshine, the showers, the rain popping up, and then Tuesday mix of sun and cloud, Wednesday showers. But we will see the temperature climbing throughout the week, getting up to a high of 11 by Thursday with those showers clearing. And for Prince Edward Island, lots of sunshine through the weekend, mix of sun and clouds. Saturday, high of 6. 3 degrees will be your high on Sunday with plenty of sunshine there. We'll see some flurries or some snow developing on Monday. The sunshine returning once again on Tuesday before the flurries or showers make their return on Wednesday, high of 4 degrees. And then we are in for some cloudier conditions on Thursday with that high of 6, Todd.
Okay, those negative overnight values really starting to show up more often now.
Yes, so if you're spending time outdoors, a few more layers perhaps.
Yeah. In the mornings especially. Thank you, Stephanie. We will see you later for the Wake Up Weather. Next, we'll speak with a comedian, curler, and author about the lighter side of the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This weekend, Canada's best curling teams will begin competing in Halifax for the right to wear the maple leaf at the upcoming Olympic Winter Games. John Cullen is a comedian, creator of the Broomgate podcast, and now author. Curling Rocks is his wry look at the game, those who play it, and those who love it. And he joins us from Calgary. Good to see you, John.
Good to see you too, Todd. Thanks for having me.
This is a funny read. Look, first I have to ask, in the book's bio, you're described as an award-winning semi-professional curler. Now, I didn't realize there was such a thing as a semi-professional curler.
Well, you have to realize, Todd, there's no such thing as a professional curler. So we have to start there. It's yeah, I mean, it's kind of a wry, like you said, a wry look at curling, and that's sort of how I see myself as well. I never was able to quit my job to curl. I won a lot of silver medals. Was never very good at winning the final, Todd. So that's how I would say the sort of semi-professional aspect comes into it.
Now, the sport you love, you call inherently funny. How is curling inherently funny?
I mean, how is it not funny? It's a bunch of small-town Canadians screaming at each other and trying to get a 42-pound rock down the other end of the ice, and we figured out the best way to do that was by sweeping the ice in front of the rock. I don't know how it isn't funny, to be quite honest with you.
You know, I think the humor of the game itself was certainly diminished when they took away the traditional broom, the whap, whap, whap.
Yes, 100%. We lost a lot then. We also lost a lot when we couldn't smoke on the ice anymore. That was a big part of it too. You had the corn brooms, you had the guys with cigarettes hanging out of their mouth.
Yeah.
They built ashtrays into the ice, Todd. I mean, that was definitely our golden era of curling being funny.
Well, it certainly has been elevated, right, over the last few decades, where it's much more. It feels much more like a sport than a pastime at the Olympic level, and certainly the big competitions. You can see them there now. They wear, you know, the competitors wear athletic outfits. Gone are the heavy wool sweaters and maybe some of the fashion sense that was originally with curling. No more tam o'shanter hats.
Yeah, we definitely gave up on the cardigans, the tams. You know, I think part of it, honestly, is, I say this in the book, but curlers are hot now. So, you know, if you're hot and you're strong and you got a nice body, you want to show it off out there. I feel like the cardigans, the shirts and ties, the tam o'shanters, those were hiding a lot of stuff more often than being, you know, sort of a suitable fashion choice. But now that every curler's in great shape, they're like, hey, take a look at how hot I am out here.
Yeah, and it certainly puts an emphasis on the sport and the skill, and it requires, I mean, being semi-professional, you would know this, it requires a real skill.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, I think the game has grown so much in the last 2 decades. You know, when we think of where curling is now, even compared to, you know, it's a new Olympic sport, right? It only started getting in the Olympics in 1998. And so I think that, you know, just since then, the amount of skill the sport has grown. It is more of a professional sport. I mean, I joke about there are no professional curlers, but there kind of are now. You know, a lot of countries are putting a lot of money and time and resources into the game, and we're learning more and more about the game too. I mean, there was never really a reason to study the game before. We didn't even really know why the rocks curled or exactly what the sweeping did. I mean, I made a whole podcast about how it's only been about 10 years since we've really kind of figured out what the brooms could actually do. Right. And so, yeah, the skill level of the game is growing literally every year. This Canadian trials coming up, this Olympics coming up will be the best curling you've ever seen to date, I think.
Yeah, Broomgate, and if folks want to hear more about that, you've got a great podcast, and it talks about sort of the revolutionary broom and how this team came out of nowhere to have such a successful record, and then everybody else wanted to know about it. In here, you know far too much about the game. You've managed to create entire teams, and not just a couple, but all kinds of different teams of players with the same name.
Yeah. I mean, I know too much about the game is also what my wife says to me as well. She says it's time to give it up, you know. But yeah, it's one of those classic sort of barroom things. It was like if you had to create curling teams where every curler had the same first name, you know, who would be the best team. And so yeah, I go through that for both men and women. I think a little bit helped by the fact that the sport has been played by mostly Canadians and mostly white Canadians. Or, you know, there's a lot of Kevins and Dons and Brads and Jims out there. Yeah, and Scots too, exactly, who have very similar names also. But the game's diversifying more now, which the game is better for that. But yeah, it was just one of those stupid thought exercises that I had kind of thought of one day and then thought, you know what, that might make a good chapter in the book, and there it is. So
you kind of touched on this, but the world seems to have come to curling. All of a sudden, there are many more. The Japanese field a pretty competitive team.
Yeah, South Korea, China, like Asia's really picked up on it. I think really what happened, Todd, is, you know, these sport federations around the world realized when they looked at the results at curling world championships, they went, okay, so Canada's always in the top 3, but then after that, there's not really like a dominant curling power. So if we were able to put a bunch of curlers together in our own nation, we could probably break through if we put a bunch of resources into it. And so, yeah, what a lot of these countries have done is actually converted athletes from other winter sports. Like the initial Chinese women's team were mostly converted speed skaters, and that's happening still around the world. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunities at the Olympics. There's now more money and opportunity in the game than there ever has been before. And of course, you know, where there's money, where there's Olympic medals, countries are sure to follow.
That's right. And, well, we'll be cheering for our Team Canada, whoever that happens to be after the tournament in Halifax. John Cullen, the book is Curling Rocks. It's a lot of fun. Stats that you wouldn't even know curling had are in here. So thanks for taking the time. Good to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Todd. Appreciate it.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of your local news after this.
The opinions expressed in this segment are solely those of the commentator. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of this station, CTV News, Bell Media, or its employees.
Tonight in Murphy's Logic, Steve has some thoughts on where the two main federal party leaders are heading now that we're not going to have a Christmas election.
His minority government may have survived, but Mark Carney's first budget as Prime Minister hasn't exactly unleashed a groundswell of popular support among Canadians. It proposes big spending on big projects, which Carney promised during the election campaign, with even bigger deficits than he promised. It doesn't deliver any immediate relief for the millions of Canadians who are just struggling to get by, which may explain the generally lukewarm public response to the budget. But if there's not much enthusiasm for the budget, there was even less for another federal election so soon after the last one, or for an election campaign during Christmas and New Year's. But there's another reason to be glad the minority government has survived this week's vote in Parliament, and it is also a question of confidence. the Conservative Party's confidence in its leader. MP Chris D'Entremont is not likely the only Conservative who'd rather switch than fight. Before heading back to the polls, Canadians need to know if Pierre Poilievre, his policies, style, and tone is the Conservative Party's genuinely preferred alternative to Mark Carney and his plan for Canada. I'm Steve Murphy.
And Steve will return. New Brunswick doctors have been offered a lucrative new contract. It will drive up the provincial deficit, but as CTV's Nick Moore explains, it's a deal that would reward doctors who make a move to collaborative health care.
We are caring for the people who care for us.
The New Brunswick government says the 4-year, $270 million deal is fair to public health care doctors and to residents who don't have a doctor or have to wait a long period of time to see one.
This new agreement will increase your access to doctors.
It includes general economic increases of up to 12.5% and introduces a new compensation model for patient attachment, the amount of time it takes for a patient to see a doctor, and a doctor's participation in a team-based practice.
This is our prescription for New Brunswickers. Together with this collaborative agreement, our work with nurses, our work with our nurse practitioners, this will help New Brunswickers so that everybody is attached.
The New Brunswick Medical Society has voted in favor of the new compensation model.
Everything is in place to help us be more efficient, so we just have to see how it's going to go.
There were some folks that we've been recruiting and negotiating with that were waiting to see what agreement would land with our physicians in the province, and now that they've seen it, I think there's two benefits that we're observing. One is that some of those people we are courting are now saying yes. Some of them are coming from Quebec, some of them are coming from the U.S.
Both the provincial government and official opposition have held up collaborative clinics as a way to improve timely health care.
At the same time, I'd hate to see that the family care approach and that the money that's dedicated to these collaborative care clinics not push our fee-for-service physicians, which a lot of them are close to the retirement age and carry heavy patient loads.
Like the solo practice, a lot of those that want to remain functioning in that model will be able to do that. We're hoping that they might see that how working in teams can be better, and we might get some of them to switch.
The provincial government says finer details about the deal will be shared when the agreement is signed. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
More health news now, and a look at how many Canadians continue to access virtual health care. CTV's Amanda Debison has that in the Thursday edition of The Lifeline.
While fewer people are accessing virtual health services than they were during the pandemic, a new study shows it remains an important part of the healthcare system.
According to a new report by Statistics Canada, a little more than half of all healthcare appointments were virtual during the COVID-19 pandemic. By 2023, a majority of people returned to in-person appointments, but more than a third used a mix of both types of appointments, and about 1 in 20 had virtual appointments only. A higher level of education and not having a regular healthcare provider was associated with higher rates of virtual care. South of the border, health officials say at least 31 babies in 15 states have been treated for botulism as an outbreak tied to By Heart formula continues to grow. The company confirmed Wednesday that lab tests found that samples of its formula were contaminated with the type of bacteria that can cause the illness. Investigators in at least 3 states said the formula remains on some store shelves despite a November 11th recall of all products nationwide. Infant botulism is a potentially deadly illness. Symptoms can take up to 30 days to develop. The illness requires immediate medical attention. Finally, back here in Canada, fertility patient advocates say they are disappointed the federal budget includes no funding for in vitro fertilization, or IVF. The Liberals promised during the last election campaign to fund $20,000 per cycle of IVF, but the minority government has given no timeline of when that may happen. Coverage varies widely across the country. Alberta, Nunavut, and the Northwest Territories offer no help at all, while Quebec offers 1 full cycle of IVF per patient. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Our business report and wake up weather are next. was another slide for the Dow Jones today. It closed the trading day down nearly 400 points. The health of the economy can often be gauged by looking at how much consumers spend and where they spend. Well, today, Walmart reported its earnings and beat expectations. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
Price-conscious consumers are helping to push sales up at Walmart. The retail giant reported $180 billion in revenue for its third quarter. That's a 6% improvement from the same period in 2024. Walmart says more customers are coming in and spending more when they do. Its online business is also growing. The company's doing so well, it is raising its sales forecast for the year. Official reports delayed by the U.S. government shutdown are beginning to be released. The jobs report shows 119,000 positions added in September in the U.S., but the unemployment rate still moved up to 4.4%. That's the highest it's been in about 4 years. There were declines in manufacturing, transportation, and warehousing. BCE is cutting about 700 jobs. The company says it is mostly management jobs as it tries to reduce debt. It follows thousands of layoffs in recent years. About 40 jobs are being cut in its media division. BCE is the parent company of CTV News and BNN Bloomberg. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to $70.93. West Texas Intermediate crude is down to $59 flat. Western Canadian Select is down over $1.50 to $46.53. And the TSX sank 371 points, ending the day below 30,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Let's go to Stephanie, who's on the weather deck, and you've got a beautiful sunset photo tonight.
Shot from this morning, and even tonight we are seeing some very nice, pleasant conditions across the Maritimes. Very clear out here, even the wind very calm this hour. But yes, beautiful shot this morning of the sunrise. This was sent to us by Terry Lynch and taken from Gaspereau Lake in Forest Home. Beautiful shot here. It snapped this morning from his deck. Thank you so much, Terry, for sending this in. And you can always send photos to Kaylin. As for the forecast in Forest Home tomorrow, we'll see a mostly sunny day with a high getting up to 6 degrees. As for the rest of the Maritimes, we'll start the day mostly clear tomorrow. A little bit of a cooler start to the day, but as we head into the afternoon hours, lots of sunshine for most areas, but we will see those showers developing into Cape Breton and some flurries expected as well into parts of New Brunswick. That's a look at your forecast. Now we'll see what's coming up tomorrow on CTV Your Morning Atlantic.
Friday on Your Morning Atlantic, get your glow on. Glow Gardens is back once again, and we're getting a tour of this year's magical displays. Start your morning with us Friday on Your Morning Atlantic.
Finally tonight, and if you're a regular viewer, you know we like to bring you odd, interesting, and usually high-priced auction items when they come up. So here's some more. For the first time, items from Jim Henson's archives have hit the auction block. Hundreds of puppets, props, and memorabilia are up for grabs. Some of the highlights include, right there, a pair of shoes worn by Miss Piggy. There are some puppets from Fraggle Rock, the TV series. There they are. Also available, a collection of artwork by the late Carol Spinney. He was the man inside Big Bird. He also played Oscar the Grouch, and he also had connections to New Brunswick. The auction of some of Henson's famous work takes place this coming Tuesday. And that is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here after CTV National News tonight. And CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has updates of your local news as well as the poll. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Until then, have a good night.